villain arc of being a crypto investor starts with trying to bring everyone with you, right? You're like, oh, this is definitely the future. I'm onto something. And you're telling everyone, you're telling your friends, buy it here, do this. And then you just get to the point where you're like, okay, don't believe it, I don't care. And then they always, like, Bitcoin just reached an all-time high. Yeah. And now everyone's like, well, how do I buy Bitcoin?
This is Conor Kenny, a crypto YouTuber, investor, and former professional stuntman who has built a massive audience breaking down market cycles, risk, and financial freedom from the ground up. In this episode, we talk about crypto,
but nonetheless, you're still in the casino. So it's dangerous to put money on that table. However, if you have an edge, the money's there to be taken if you can figure out how to do it.
Crypto.
The simplest thing for most people when it comes to crypto is to ignore all the noise. Pick a couple, dollar cost average into them over time. And the key is only dollar cost average into them with money you can actually afford to lose.
And Bitcoin.
With the price, Bitcoin was $320. And I went to my dad's office and he was like, yeah, it's just this like internet money. And he was already mining it.
If you're not already following Conor, check him out. He's sharing real insights on crypto and building financial independence. And if you're new here, this is the Bali Bytes podcast, where we talk real freedom, financial, physical, and mental. No fluff, no bullshit. Let's get into it. Yeah, I've been following you for quite some time, actually, because I started my Bitcoin crypto journey maybe 2021-ish. So I'm like, I'd say one cycle out from you, maybe. Yep. But I've been following you for a little bit, been paying attention, and then I just recognized that you were in the area, and I was like, I got to get him on the show. So if you could, can you start kind of from the beginning? Because I saw that you used to do some acrobatic stuff. How'd you go from doing these acrobat type stuff, and then now you're traveling the world and you're in Bitcoin? So start there.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's always an interesting story to tell because it's like I don't think anyone normally hears an acrobat that moves into crypto and trading and all of that.
But we all started doing other stuff. Like I was a filmmaker. Yeah. I worked in all kinds of different things, and I found Bitcoin. Yeah. So, I mean, it could start anywhere, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, so I'll try and cut a seriously long story short. But I don't know the exact date, but I can tell you the price. Bitcoin was $320. And I went to my dad's office and he was like, check this out. And I remember it was still on Google. He had it up. It said Bitcoin. I remember it like clear as day, exactly where we were sitting. And he was like, yeah, it's just this like internet money. And he was already mining it. So he had mined, he had a small machine. It was about this big, tiny, and you could mine on it. And he was mining 1 Bitcoin a month. And it's always a funny story because he had it on for a full month. It mined a whole Bitcoin, and then the fuse and the plug broke. And to fix the fuse, or like something in the machine broke, and to fix it was more than the 1 Bitcoin, so they just didn't bother doing it. So they just turned it off. And that always sticks in my head.
But it's like, yeah, you could be buying it for 300. Yeah. It's like, yeah, the mining. But that's crazy that your dad was mining. I couldn't even... You would love to just sit there and hear the conversations I have with my dad. This fries my brain. But we talked about it when it was down at 16,000 or whatever, which is when I started really getting into it. And he's like, yeah, maybe I'll buy one when it's at 5,000. He's like, there's nothing there. It's just, what does he say? It's just, there's nothing backing it. There's nothing there, what would you say to somebody like that? Who's like, there's nothing there.
There is nothing backing it, right? It's just...
But there's nothing backing it.
Exactly. I mean, everything is worth what the next person is willing to pay. So I'm bullish on Bitcoin simply because I can carry my money around. I can bank myself. I can sell it to someone for the price they're willing to pay, which happens to be really high right now. Yeah. And I would argue that anything like gold, of course, people derive value from gold because it used to be money. It's no longer money. But you can make certain tech using gold, but we just say it's worth loads of money, right? Yep. There's loads of metal, but we just decided that gold looks nice, so it's worth loads of money. And like, that's, I think, the hardest thing for people to get over. They're like, well, Bitcoin is nothing.
Yeah.
But I would argue that
Everything's
everything's nothing. And our entire economy, the way we live, the way we work, social media is all on the internet now, right? So why wouldn't we have gold of the internet or money of the internet, whatever you want to call it? And that's exactly where Bitcoin and crypto find their path, right?
Yeah. I mean, I get it. A lot of people, I think it's like the people are so stuck in their ways and in what they've been led to believe about things, and it's hard to get them to change their idea of what certain things are. Yeah, I think that's it.
Yeah, I mean, I think the villain arc of being a crypto investor starts with trying to bring everyone with you, right? You're like, oh, this is definitely the future. I'm onto something. And you're telling everyone, you're telling your friends, buy it here, do this. And then you just get to the point where you're like, okay, don't believe it, I don't care. Yeah. And then they always, like, Bitcoin just reached an all-time high. Yeah. And now everyone's like, well, how do I buy Bitcoin? You're like, well, I told you.
You should have been buying it.
You've been my mate or my family or my friend for so long. And I've been doing it. Don't ask me now, because now's the worst time to be buying it.
Yep, exactly.
In history, you know?
I remember having a long conversation with my cousin back when Bitcoin was heading down. It was probably around 30,000. And we just happened to have a 2-hour-long car ride. And I was explaining to him. He was like, okay, tell me about Bitcoin. And I just dumped everything I knew about the cycles, the halving, and everything. And then I was like, but don't buy it now. It's on its way down. I'm going to call you when I'm buying. And it was like, it started to get down to about 16. And I was like, I'm buying now. And then he's like, oh, okay. And it comes back up to 19. I'm like, I'm still buying, but this is like a good time. And he's like, okay. And it went up to like 23. And I'm like, you're kind of missing here. And then, me and my dad were having bets about, Bitcoin's going to see 10,000 before it sees 30. And I'm like, you want to, what are we betting?
Yeah.
So we made the bets. And of course I won.
Yeah.
And, it kept going up 30, 40, 50. And I'm calling my cousin, did you buy any? Yeah.
See, the thing is, for these guys, is the best thing. Like, my dad's a little bit of a different story. The fuse broke. I told him, this is like something I want to do years later, though. Yeah. I'll get to the continuation of the story. But my whole thesis on the way to invest into any asset is, of course, DCA, right?
Yeah.
So dollar cost averaging, for anyone who doesn't know. And I essentially tried to apply like the tried and tested normal financial path with crypto. Mm-hmm. So like, find an undervalued company or asset and then slowly dollar cost average into that asset, right? And that's what I try to say to anyone who wants to buy it, any of my friends, any of my family or whatever. It's like, for example, right now is in history, today is the worst time to buy Bitcoin because it's close to all-time highs, right? That's just the fact. But the very top of the 2021 bull market was also the worst time to buy then. But if you had have bought it then and done absolutely nothing for 3 years, you'd be in profit. However, the key that it seems the majority of the world miss about investing is if you didn't do nothing, you just continued to buy with that little bit of extra money you have every month from your salary, from your business, from your job. You just continue to buy. The only way you're going to continue to buy if you actually understand the underlying asset, whether it's a company, Tesla, Nvidia, the S&P 500, or it's Bitcoin, or it's any of these other altcoins, and you just continue to buy. Now you've just given yourself the best possible entry and you've outperformed the entire market, right? So everyone thinks, okay, well, Bitcoin, when Bitcoin was back at 69K and it was 69K in 2021. So when it was back at 69K in 24, I assume was when we hit there, everyone's like, well, Bitcoin's done nothing for 3 years. It's a crap asset, right? And you're like, no, we had 3 years of accumulating like sound money. And now I have so much more than I had at the start, but you missed it again. Yeah. And then they hate it. It makes 100K and they're like, oh, maybe I should buy. And then that's how the cycle repeats itself and ends, right? Once we break all-time highs and we continue higher and higher, that's when everyone who hated it for the whole 3 years jumps back in. And then guess what? All the whales who have been through this cycle so many times, that's when they start dumping, right? And that's why retail always get wrecked, like the majority. It's like
90%.
80 to 99%, They always get wrecked and they always have the same. And it's frustrating because they're not willing to look past the first wreckage. Everyone gets wrecked in the first bull market. It's just how it happens, right? And it's the same with kind of everything. But then if you use that knowledge and that loss, I always refer to that loss as like, your ticket or your tuition fee, right? That's what you paid.
Yeah.
Like you lose the money and you pay, okay, the way I handled that was incorrect, but now I know not to handle it like that, especially if I see the history and we're back at the same price it was, but I sold it down here. The fact that you sold it, everyone sells it. Everyone panic sells. But it's what you learn from that process, right? And then when it happens again, it's going to happen again.
Luckily, I didn't panic sell because I got, truth be told, I did get in before, before when the way up, what was that, 2020? When it hit 55 for the first time or 50, my buddy was telling me, this Bitcoin thing, it got to 50. I'm like, that's crazy.
Yeah.
And so I started paying attention. It went up and then came back down to like 30 or 29. And that's when I bought my first amount of Bitcoin. I put in $500 and it kind of went up a little bit. I'm like, oh, okay, that's cool. And so I kept putting in all the way up to basically 64, went up to 69 and then crashed. But I was like, if it goes up to 100 where like everyone's saying, I'm fine. I'll sell and I'll buy back in. And I was like, if it doesn't, if this is it, I'll wait and I'll put in as much more at wherever I think the bottom is. And so I did. I watched it all go. Everything went down, and the little bit of altcoins I had went all the way down. But I kind of timed the bottom fairly well and bought everything. I bought more. But my buddy, who did very similar things, did not buy more at the bottom. So at least by the time we were halfway through, I was already in profit again.
Yeah.
Whereas it took him like till probably about now to be in profit.
Exactly. Yeah.
But yeah, so tell me about 2017. Tell me, because I know you keep talking about I guess you lost everything.
Yeah.
Tell me what happened there.
So I learned about Bitcoin $320. Then we fast forward.
But when was that? That was
a few years before that, maybe 2 years before that or something. I couldn't be exactly sure. I remember the price, not the year. But you fast forward and I'm living in Dubai as an acrobat. And I'm doing a few different shows, theme parks. Franco Dragone had a show there. Franco Dragone was one of the founders of Cirque du Soleil, and he's done a few different shows. And we were backstage. When I was still at the theme park, actually, in 2017, but we were backstage. And I can't remember the first inception of where the Bitcoin idea came from, but because I had already known about it, people were talking about it again. We were like, well, let's just mess around a bit. And that's all it was. Like how everyone starts, right? We're messing around a bit. We're on Twitter. We're finding the alpha on Twitter. But we bought Bitcoin $3,300. And that was when I bought my first proper chunk of Bitcoin. And that was all backstage. And I remember there was like 3 or 4 of us, and like we would go on stage after, looking at our portfolios, buying something, or everyone would be on stage, like talking to each other about the Bitcoin, like just joking around and the altcoins at the time. But yeah, it was a crazy time. And like everyone, I thought I was a genius. Like I thought I was absolute genius. And like, this is now my new path, now I'm rich. Like for context, I put $3,500 in for the one Bitcoin. I traded that up only using X posts, right? People posting on X about different things. Only using that $3,000, $75,000, and that was the peak when you take the screenshot and you send it to your friends, and I lost all of it. It went below my initial entry, but because of this trajectory, which is what most people do if they manage to get in at the right time, which is a lot of people manage to ride the bull market up. But then you get it in your head that for somehow
it's going to keep going.
Yeah, you're the special one. You were intelligent enough to do it. And because you don't understand cycles, you don't understand bull and bear markets, you don't understand simple financial things, you think it's going to keep going. So like the number seems like that's the number it stays at, right? And like this is my new base. So and I was incorrect on that.
Do you think that's a normal process people go through?
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah. That was my tuition fee, right?
But do you think that that's kind of happening now with altcoins, where like everyone's like, I'm not going to be the first one out, or so it's not really, we're not getting that alt season.
The tough thing about this time round is you're playing against the NFL now.
Yeah.
Before we were playing against whatever the American term is for the lower than that. I don't even know. I don't know why I said that. But, you know, like the first, like 2013-ish, that was just like kids in a playground, right?
Yeah.
And then 2017 was relatively easy. It was basic. Like anyone could make money in 2017. Everyone lost it apart from a few players. 2021, the people from 2017 started to make money, but they were the clever players. They were the ones who knew what they were doing, and everyone who came in late lost their money. Not everyone, you know, 90%. And then
The
now,
Dogecoin millionaire. Yeah.
exactly. It's funny. I base a lot of like what I do with my own finances on not failures, but situations that I see unfold on the internet, right? Because I watched that happen.
Whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. And he had an interview of Graham Stephan.
Yep, I saw.
Which is what a lot of people watch who are into finances, right? And their point was, bro, just sell and start again at $1 million. So you could do whatever you want, like just be a billionaire,
exactly.
right? And
let's explain that to anyone who's watching. Dogecoin millionaire.
Yeah. So in a roundabout term, found Doge early, done his research, did everything, and decided to take a loan against a card or something. I don't want to get the terms wrong, and then managed to ride it all the way up. Was hoping it would go to $1 and higher and higher.
Put in all of his
a lot of money. Like it's like
75.
Yeah.
75.
It was a lot of money.
It was pretty good.
Yeah, and it was
starting
high interest loans.
No, I thought because I saw that the loan part, because he had savings, maybe like 75 or 100,000 plus a loan, but I think he said he had to pay back the loan before, so he kind of got screwed out of that maybe.
Yeah.
Either way, he grew a relatively small amount.
Yeah, and he did amazing, but he
was
did,
it 3.6?
Yeah, over 3. Yeah. But he did exactly what I did in the first run. Do you know what I mean? Like you think that it's going to go higher, and the thing is
saying a dollar. I'm going to make this into 10 million,
whatever. Yeah.
And Graham, I remember seeing that Graham and the other guy who was
Andre.
Andre. And they were like, dude, just take $1 million off the.
Yeah.
Take it off the table.
Yeah, and I've had surprisingly almost exactly the same conversation with people who are in certain coins, and they see these big numbers, and they're only in these coins, right? So, and it's their first cycle, well, not their first cycle, but like it's the first time they've seen significant money, and I'm like, bro, just like tick the box, like keep that money, and then the thing is the way I see it is you can then reinvest. You can start buying that asset back, whether it's Dogecoin, Bitcoin, whatever it is, but get yourself at what I call financial freedom, right? Which is significantly lower than $1 million. But like you set yourself up for life if you take that profit. And like that's what my goal was like for a long time.
Well, I see you know, I've been watching your trade. Most of your channel is a lot of the trading.
Yes.
And you do the opposite of what everyone else is doing. Or what do you call it? The contrarian trading. And it's like, all right, it's going up, just take some off the table. And then if it keeps going, you keep
exactly.
Some will keep going, and then you take, if it comes down, all right, you reinvest.
The question I always have is, what is exactly your profit, your take profit? When exactly will you buy? And that's not how the strategy works, right? I am trying to break it down into more like understand like percentages and all of that. And I have broken it down into a more like concise strategy, but it's so based on, number one, the strategy that I use only works in a bull market, right? How do you define a bull market? Kind of everyone has a different definition for whether we're in a bull market, because it's long positions, right? I'm betting the price goes up. And just the way the strategy works, it's not so much technical, right? I use technical analysis, but I also use the sentiment in the market. I also use the macro. If I know there's an event that's happening, well, we've just gone up, and I know there's probably a buy the rumor event happening. You know, we got Solana ETF on the 10th of October or whatever it is, right? That's probably going to be, at least in the short term, a buy the rumor, sell the news event. So if I'm long Solana and Solana has a pump, all right, I'll just take a little bit off just in case it turns out to be. And then if it turns out I'm right and it goes down, happy days. I just put it back in. And it's the same trade, right? I can just add to it. And then on the vice versa, if it keeps going up, I'm still making money. So I don't care.
It's so hard though to like close out some of that position. It's
well, they say never marry your bags, right? And the reason why I'm so adamant and I'm so like, it's so easy for me to just close, because I'm like, okay, I've banked that profit and I know the feeling and I know what happens. You lose everything, right? In a bear market, it's all gone. So like in your position as someone who might be watching this and you see your portfolio, maybe it's a trade, define whether it's a short-term or long-term trade. But like the $10, $100, $1,000, $10,000, $1 million, whatever the number is, right? If it seems really small in comparison to the rest of the portfolio right now, trust me, in a bear market, it's big, right? And the story that always sticks in my head for the 2017 run was I had enough to buy a Mustang in cash because I loved the Mustang, right? And in Dubai, you can get Mustangs. Don't have Mustangs at that time in England. And then when the bear market came, the only thing that stuck in my head was if I had just sold enough to buy the Mustang,
I would have the Mustang.
And I'd still be in a better position than I am now because I'd have the Mustang, right? So that's kind of how that strategy works, right? I see myself feeling euphoria. I see the market feeling euphoria. So whether it's 5% of the trade, 10% of the trade, half the trade, depends on how much euphoria is in that specific time. And also where on the strategy it sits, whether it's spot, low leverage or high leverage, right? So
now you're without a Mustang in Dubai, I guess, and you have very little money, I guess, but are you still doing acrobat stuff? Like, how are you paying the bills at this point?
Yeah.
2017 when you lost everything.
So 17, still an acrobat, still just normal, right? So I went from in my head being a G to just being back to where I was before. And don't get me wrong. It's not a sob story. Like I loved my life. Like being an acrobat or a performer is a great life. But yeah, just back to normality, back to making, a few thousand a month and going into a bear market, realizing, oh, I'm actually an idiot. Like what the hell was I thinking? Like how could I let that amount of money slip through my fingers? Because I thought I knew better. And it's a tough pill to swallow that first year of a bear market where, you're like, oh, it's going to come back. And then you realize, oh, like it might not come back. It might actually just be gone. Right. And you realize that and you're like, okay, I've actually lost this. Yeah. So it was
But then how soon after did you start the YouTube channel? Was that in 2020 after you started making money again? You're like, I'm a genius again?
It's funny because so 2018, 2019, I kept crypto in, a part of me. Like it was definitely, I was keeping up to date somewhat. I was keeping up with the research. I was seeing, I bought Cardano in the 2017 bull run when there was only Bitcoin altcoin pairs. So I remember the price, it was 400 sats on Binance. So I bought it right when it first launched on Binance. That was one of the coins that I wrote up that I just learned about on Twitter at the time. And so I kept these coins in my head, I kept these ones. So I was buying Cardano in the bear market. I was buying more Bitcoin.
Do you think that's dangerous though? Like, cause I'm doing the same thing now where I was like, well, this one did well. And it worked out with Solana for me. Cause I bought Solana this time around at like probably $15. So I was like, all right, great. I have way more Solana than I did last time.
Yeah.
But like, there's other things and I'm watching, I'm like, this isn't doing shit. Like, what the hell? And now I'm hearing about new stuff, like Asters come out. Everyone's like talking about these different coins. I'm like, should I jump ship on these other ones and get into these new ones? Like,
so my answer to you, is it dangerous? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Like you're gambling with your money. Like, so I'll put my perspective on what crypto is, or at least trading crypto, and at least everything other than Bitcoin and Ethereum and maybe some of the large caps, but really just Bitcoin, right? Because I'm the most convicted on Bitcoin. I don't think Bitcoin's going anywhere. Of course, we have our risks here and there, but that's the one that I'm willing to hold a large position of my net worth in, be comfortable, and bull bear, I don't care. Like I have an amount that I want to hold that just sits there, and that's what I'm happy with. But everything else is a casino. Right. And if I'm someone who take poker, for example, if I'm someone who plays poker, I can understand people's eye movements or the way their face changes when they're under pressure or whatever. I can learn certain things that give me an edge. The house still has the edge. And in this market, it's the market makers. It's the big whales who can move the market. But irrespective, that doesn't matter. Like we can play with those guys if we know what to look for. But in the example of poker, you're still in the casino. You've given yourself an edge with the other players, right? Because they might just be guys who have sat down, they're a bit pissed and they're just putting money on the table. So you've got yourself a little strategy, you've got yourself a little edge, but nonetheless, you're still in the casino. So it's dangerous to put money on that table. However, if you have an edge, the money's there to be taken if you can figure out how to do it. So yes, it's dangerous, but if you pick the right one, it's a wonderful thing.
Yeah, I mean, I try not to play or gamble with too much. Like I said that I would tell you about my portfolio, maybe but like 80% of it is in Bitcoin.
Yeah.
I feel like that's my savings account. I actually do live off of my Bitcoin now. I'm spending it. So, and I feel like it's just making things cheaper for me because I bought it so much cheaper.
Yeah.
So like I'm living off of that, and I spend it, we're using the Coinbase debit card. So it's very easy to use here anywhere you use a Visa. But the rest, like I would say 15% spot, like altcoins. It's a lot of like, I guess, let me see.
Yeah.
Mostly, let's see here. I'd say of the alts in their percentage, 28% Solana, 17% Render, 15% Ondo, 8% Chainlink, and it starts going down to like 6% FET, and then Aether,
I know.
Yeah, that one. Sui 4%, ICP probably 4%, AIOZ was 2%. There's like, and then it goes way down to like bits and pieces of like Jasmine, Proppy, or Quant, or weird like Humans AI, like things I just like picked up along the way.
Exactly.
And then, but there's 5% that I am trading, and those are like just Solana and Ondo, Sui, and what was the other one? I think I picked up that SEI.
Yeah.
And that's just like play, I guess. And I'm just playing with that. But I feel like exactly what you said. It's a casino. It's like I'm just basically trying to make enough money with that stuff to pay back the Bitcoin that I've spent. That's it.
Yeah, it seems like a good portfolio. Like the way you set it up, I assume the smaller the coin, the more random it was that you bought it, the less research you did.
Yeah.
And that's exactly how everyone should be playing it, right?
Yeah.
So picking the coins that you understand more so and having more money in those is the best way to play it, because you don't get so rattled when the market moves, right? Because everyone cares about the price.
Yeah.
So like, if you understand what the project is and you actually think it's going to go somewhere, then sure, dollar cost average or hold some. But if you don't understand the project, you don't know what it does, and you don't know why you bought it, then, I mean...
Some of them sounded cool at the time. You're like Proppy or whatever. I was like, oh, that sounds interesting. They're trying to tokenize the stock, or the what do you call it? The real estate market, or putting your deeds. And I'm like, okay. But now I hear all these people creating projects that are like, we're tokenizing this, we're tokenizing that, we're doing this. And then I have a lot of friends that are... Bitcoin maximalists that are like, you could do all that on the Bitcoin network, or there's no reason to have any other crypto. What's your thoughts on, is there a reason for any other crypto?
Yeah. So my thought is Bitcoin 100% and smart contracts 100%. Everything else, it's like, can it take off? Maybe if enough people use it, just like a company that starts a new social media, right? But we don't need another social media. We've got all this crap. We don't need another one. But if everyone likes it, sure, maybe it works for them. But Bitcoin as the gold, and Ethereum, or insert smart contract platform here, you don't need another token on another token on another token to be able to do what you want. Base is a good example. Kind of frustrating now that they're actually launching the Base token, but everyone loves tokens. But like, I liked that Base was just a layer 2 on Ethereum, and it just worked, and you just did it, and it was cheaper than Ethereum, and it works, right? Because I do think, like, I firmly believe that we're going towards everything being on the blockchain, because it makes sense, right? It makes no sense for me, say I want to buy a house. It makes no sense that I have to like do all of, like, a signature in this day and age that makes me own something. Like, it's completely ridiculous. Like, it's an arbitrary thing that can be faked so easily, right? So like, I believe that most things will be on the blockchain. You buy a car, there's an app, you say, all right,
you can check it on the blockchain.
Yeah, there's no argument. It's mine. Yeah. So like, that is the utility, right? And that's what I see. Now creating, I have an app, it sells cars, you can sell my car, I create car coin, and you pay in car coin, and I buy car coin, and then it's on Ethereum anyway, and then we transact it, and then Carcoin makes a fee, yada, yada. Like, you can take a fee in Ethereum or Ethereum layer 2, right?
I have had to use some of these other crypto, like Ethereum. I think what did I get? I think I got like a domain name or something.
Yeah, ENS.
Yeah. And then I had done some stuff on it, but I had to pay with Ethereum and I had to make changes with Ethereum, and it was like, wait, that's like worth $100 right now to make a change, or like the gas fees were insane.
Yeah.
So I can see where like Solana, because then I've started to use Solana in a couple different things.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, that was instant. It cost me like a fraction of a penny.
Yeah.
So
yeah, no, that's exactly what I mean by like insert smart contract here, right? So there's going to be, I don't think there'll be one winner. I think, for example, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok, right? There's not one answer. There's all different answers and people like different things. But like Ethereum's slow and expensive, but it's the safest chain, as in it doesn't go down, right? Solana's very fast and cheap, but it goes down. So there's the caveat, right? And then you have the layer 2s on Ethereum. So eventually we'll figure it out. But again, to go back to the altcoins, as an investor in probably the future of money, the future of how we interact with each other and all that, do your research, figure out the ones that you like the sound of. Oh, that sounds like it could be the future. And as me, as the person, the life that I live, I actually kind of agree with that. And then that's the one that you hold, or one of 5 that you hold. And then like the simplest thing for most people when it comes to crypto is to ignore all the noise, pick a couple, dollar cost average into them over time. And the key is only dollar cost average into them with money you can actually afford to lose. And like people laugh at, the boomers that say, well, don't drink Starbucks and you'll be able to buy a house. Don't drink Starbucks and just buy Bitcoin with it, because then you can buy a house.
Yeah.
And that's facts, right? So, but again, it got like all of my trading, the whole contrarian thing, everything, all is, even indicators and all of that stuff is all just really human emotion and how you track that. So like using money, I always say it, but like using money you can't afford to lose, it seems like such an arbitrary thing. Like, yeah, I get it. I won't put money in I can't afford to lose. But when you have money in Bitcoin or you have money in whatever it is and it goes down, you realize you can't afford to lose it with how you care about it, right? Yeah. And like, it's so freeing when your portfolio is filled with assets that you believe in, whether it's crypto, whether it's property, whether it's gold, it's silver, whatever it is, right? And it's money. You're like, okay, cool. I could just leave that for 10 years. And if I turn out to be right, it's nice and diverse. And if I turn out to be right, happy days. But if it goes to actually zero, do you know what? I took a punt. I did my best, and I just move on and take it as a learning lesson. Mm-hmm. But you can only do that when you use money you can afford to lose.
I would be very sad if Bitcoin went to zero.
Yeah.
I can't afford to lose this. That's my whole future. I'm banking on it. Yeah. But I wanted to ask you, like, so the average person, okay, who might be watching this, they're like, yeah, I don't get Bitcoin. I don't get like investing in it, and I don't see why it would pertain to me. But I feel like I was just explaining this to somebody today, actually, that, cell phones or the internet, when it first came out, only a few people used cell phones or the internet, like business people had cell phones. My dad had a cell phone, not too many people had, and they were like, why would I need a cell phone? So like, how do you see the average person using it in the future? Because I think that we will eventually become to a point where everyone will use it in some way.
Yeah.
When do you think that might be, and why? Like, what would happen? It's like cell phones was probably the advent of the iPhone.
Yeah.
You can use maps on it. You can do all stuff. Like, what do you think would...
Using it in the sense of like actually using it.
Like everyone's going to use... how would they...
Well, I see potentially banks choosing something, and instead of Swift, or Swift being the blockchain that they either build their own blockchain or partner with someone, and people actually transacting. It makes no sense that, like, we have blockchain technology and I can't send a wire over the weekend. So like, that's probably the rails that creates mass adoption. But I think crypto only really becomes mass adopted when we get to a point that no one knows they're using blockchain. So like, you use an app, you use your bank, It's all on blockchain. You buy a stock, it's on blockchain. Robinhood's doing it already, and you don't know. And that's when everyone uses it, right? And that's when it starts the mass adoption.
Do you think we'll ever get to a point where Bitcoin is the standard, that you don't price anything in dollars anymore? It's like, I'll take a coffee, and they're like, that's 10 sats, you know?
Yeah, I'm kind of more of the sense that there's a chance that happens. I would not consider myself a Bitcoin maxi. However, I'm way more in Bitcoin than I am in anything else.
Yeah.
But like, do we create a system where Bitcoin becomes easy enough for people to use it without knowing it's Bitcoin? That's really the only way I see it happening. Because I don't think we're going to go into a coffee shop and say, I'll have that for 0.00000000112 sats, right? But I do think we'll go into that.
That would be like Bitcoin at like quadrillion, right? Because I think like it's 10 sats that would get you to be like Bitcoin's at, I think, 10 million or something, yeah.
But if it is the standard, it's going to go significantly. Michael Saylor's bull case is 39 million a coin.
Yeah.
So anyway, like if that happens, I would say it's far more likely for us to say dollar, for example, and it just happens to be on Bitcoin, but no one really knows. Like no one, like they know, money's not backed by gold anymore. It's not backed by zero anymore because everyone got angry that, the banks were just printing and now it's backed by Bitcoin, right?
Yeah.
That's a potential. But I think I'm far more inclined to believe that Bitcoin is just a financial instrument, just like gold is, just like silver is, just like investing into the stock market is. And like it just is a place where money is stored. That's what I think. And it's a hedge against inflation, and it's just another asset to hold in your portfolio that diversifies you and protects you from whatever insert X government here is doing,
So Lila, I think, started her crypto journey just from, being behind me, like watching it. Like, I watch crypto videos some of them are yours.
Sometimes I wake up in the morning and I hear your voice in the background.
Perfect.
So it's pretty funny hearing your voice in real life.
Yeah. But so she's learning just in the peripheral, like learning. Do you have some now he's right in front of you. Do you have any questions about Bitcoin? Because you've been kind of asking.
I mean, most of the questions have been answered even just in this conversation, but there are questions that I feel, I'll pull them up. That other people have asked that are pretty like simple questions and stuff that I think.
I had asked her to like kind of reach out to her kind of community of like, people that are interested in crypto but don't really maybe know that much,
Yeah, well, one thing I'm always wondering is, am I sitting in an echo chamber, right? So like, I only hang out with people who are in, areas like this and they're doing internet money. But like those people are always exposed to crypto as well, right?
So one of the questions, and this is the first one, is what is crypto?
What the hell is
Literally.
it?
Yeah. Oh, wow, but no one knows. I like to when I'm using it when I'm talking with let's call them normies, magical internet beans. So we have many different magical internet beans. Bitcoin is the biggest magical internet bean, and I'm being very serious. They're it's code that sits on the internet, and it's backed by nothing tangible except the fact that you can't be faked. So if you hold value in something that can't be faked, then Bitcoin is the perfect thing to hold money into, right? Because we live in a world where money is fake. So like we live in a world of the internet and we live in a world of money being fake. Therefore, Bitcoin, for example, solves that problem that we have in society. And then cryptocurrency tokens are the ones that sit on different blockchains, smart contract blockchains for the most part, where you have, real world use cases. You have things like RWAs, which are real world assets. Stuff like the car example, stuff like, tokenizing real estate transactions. And also, in order for the system of a smart contract to work, you pay for that system in a token. So that's how the whole system works. And then you go down the ladder and you have meme coins, which are the new the new nonsense. But you have memes in the internet, normal internet, and then you have memes when it comes to that. And that's like the gambling culture, the fun. But there's like, in my opinion, there's always a place for that in every niche, in every, you have these really massive companies, massively moving in percentage price, right? Everyone wants to gamble, and meme coins are just crypto's way of, the community gambling and, rallying behind a certain person.
Have you ever, for fun, invested in a meme coin?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, all the time. I love meme coins. They're great. Yeah.
So
He's like, I won't touch them.
No, absolutely.
His best friend does for fun, and he's always just like, no.
Yeah. No, meme.
they go up and they go down.
Yeah.
They're
Well, most people buy meme coins when they're up.
yeah.
But that's the trick. You don't want to buy it when everyone else is buying it. You want to buy it before they are, and then you want to.
How do you know which one? Yeah, is
You
the
don't.
one? Yeah.
Yeah,
But that's why it's the casino and it's fun.
Yeah. Nope. If
Yeah.
I don't understand what it does,
Yeah.
nope.
Well, you're far too conservative.
Yeah.
We're not going to have an argument because we agree.
Yeah.
So I take like maybe 0.1% of my portfolio, and I'll buy the latest one, and I'll do this, and I'll chuck it around, and like, if it's got a funny picture, I'll put a little bit in it. Or if my mate's like, oh, I've heard about this guy. In fact, one of the biggest trades I've ever done in percentage gain is what I used to refer to as a hype coin, which we didn't really have a name for meme coins in 2021. There were a few around, Doge and SHIB came along and that sort of stuff, but it wasn't the way it is now. And it was just a message. Someone said to me, have you heard of this coin, and this coin? I put them in on YouTube. I found a video. It had like loads of views, but it was posted yesterday. And I was like, oh, there's something here. And like, that's also, we'll get into like later on how I find positioning myself, but like that is like the social score that you can find on the internet is very important for finding a meme coin early, for example. 'Cause
People talking about it.
Exactly, people rallying behind it.
Do you find that if you talk about something that it
Yeah.
can
Yeah. It used to be much more prevalent when 2021 was far less altcoins, and probably, I think the market cap is actually just broken where it was in 21, but there was a much more of a time then. And in fact, I had no idea. Like, I often get people, like back then especially, being like, calling me a scammer and all of that. Like, my tagline on my channel is essentially, don't listen to me, I'm just the guy sitting in his room. And like, that couldn't be like exactly, I couldn't explain to you who I am more than that. Do you know what I mean? My dad showed me Bitcoin when it was $300. I used to be an acrobat, and we messed around and we followed some people on the internet. Because I lost all my money doing that, I now talk about doing the opposite on YouTube. And I'm still just I'm just a dude.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And like, I used to make videos, and yeah, the markets would move marginally, and then that's just part of it. But I've never actively bought something and then dumped it because I can move the market. So it's just like, it's not, there's so many more ways to make money, building businesses behind personal brands and all of that, it's just not something that,
Yeah, but I guess you have to be careful doing that, because does YouTube have any kind of...
Yeah, so I have massive disclaimers. I say it all the time. Don't buy anything that I'm talking about. Like, this is just me talking. Like,
Yeah.
And the thing is like, I'm very adamant that I take profits, right? Because I'm a trader. I'm a swing trader. I hold Bitcoin and I swing trade everything else. So I swing trade on, yearly timeframes. That's dollar cost averaging on the spot market. And I swing trade on weekly timeframes. That's my low leverage strategy, around 3x leverage. And then I swing trade days or weeks on my higher leverage. I'm selling.
What's the most leverage you do when you do that?
If I really want to mess around, I go high, but I don't talk about that. That's like me gambling. That's like meme coins. I'll be honest, the way I see it right now in this market environment, it's like I'm far more likely to make money gambling on a higher leverage play on Bitcoin when it goes down than I am buying the next meme coin, right? But for my strategies and when I say, and again, so people understand, when I'm messing around, I'm talking about like such a small inconsistent, like, $19. I might chuck on a 500x long and I'll get liquidated straight away.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
Because I'm just messing around, right?
I've done not that much. Yeah. But I think I've done a like 100 trade on a, with $50.
But as long as you understand that it goes 1% against you and you liquidate, well, it's a bit of fun, isn't it?
Yeah, but even the 10, like the 10, because I've opened up a couple of 10s, and I'm like,
Yeah.
it's stressful.
Yeah, well, 10% against you. So I never open any trade without the expectation of dollar cost averaging. So I use the same, I don't know if I ever finished the trail of thought, but like the whole Warren Buffett idea of just buying the market, right? Dollar cost averaging into the market. So that same idea, obviously he's not saying buy crypto or buy, all these coins or whatever, but my idea with my strategies are never, that's why I don't do an entry and an exact exit. In fact, I see the market, I see the sentiment. And in a moment where the market's pulling back in a bull market.
So you will say you open a 10x leverage. Your intention is if it goes down a little bit more, you'll put in a little bit more.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And I'll keep putting in a little more. Because the key is it's such a small amount of relative money in comparison to the account that I can continue to put more in until we get confirmation we're no longer in a bull market and I take the loss or we bounce.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like the tariff debacle was I think that was the reason why Bitcoin crashed so much. And it was like, we're clearly in a bull market.
Yeah.
And like, so this is the opportunity of a lifetime. And like that whole thing for anyone who knew what they were doing in that moment was the opportunity of a lifetime. Like the S&P 500 went down 25% in like 2 weeks, which is essentially free money if you know what you're doing. Because what's going to happen? Facebook's going to go to zero because there's tariffs. No. Like, so if you put your money in the market then, like a lot of people made a lot of money because it was a V-shaped recovery. Exactly the same thing. I say Ronason on my channel because I don't want to get demonetized, but COVID, the same thing happened when the market crashed. I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't have enough money. I didn't understand it enough, but the market crashed significantly. I did buy Bitcoin. It turned out to be the best buy of my entire life because I had bought Bitcoin at night day. 3 days later, it's actually one of my first videos on the channel. I'm like talking about my portfolio. Literally 3 or 4 days later, they announced the worldwide lockdowns. Bitcoin went down to like 3.5 again. And I was like, oh, well, I've done it now, so I better buy more, right? Because I knew this is the asset. I'd already decided at 9K, this is what I want to be investing in. Oh, you just gave it to me at 50% discount. Yeah. And then, a couple of weeks later, oh my God. And then a couple of months later, I'm like, oh my God, why didn't I just put everything I could ever imagine into that?
Yeah.
And then, so that's the sort of, when I see these outsized panic in the market, right? An outsized panic on the longer term would be an example recently with tariffs. So that's spot buying. So I'm buying Bitcoin when it went down to like, 79 or whatever, 74. I'm spot buying Bitcoin at the time. And then if on the shorter term time frames, I'm doing that exact same dollar cost averaging technique because I believe wholeheartedly that if Bitcoin's pulling back significantly and there's absolutely no reason for it to happen and we're in a bull market, it's going to bounce.
Yeah.
And like, I just get to buy it cheaper and cheaper and cheaper and then it bounces and I'm already in profit before anyone else realizes it's bounced. I'm out the trade. I've made money. Happy days, right?
But you're in trading. Yeah. That's...
Yeah.
When it's all in Bitcoin, you're like, oh, well, maybe I'll move a little bit of my spot Bitcoin into a trade just to like, 3x or something like that. But
yeah,
we have time for about one more good question.
Damn, we went that far.
Yeah, we went that fast. This happens every time.
Mate, I yap. I'm a good yapper.
No, it's good. We didn't get into any of the Bali stuff.
Someone said, will I get taxed up the you-know-what after I sell my crypto?
Well, it depends on your jurisdiction, but absolutely. Yeah. I would advise, not financial advice, but if you're messing around in any investment and you're selling, don't try and not pay tax. Because, like, people try. Like, English people, Australian, and I can't speak for anyone else. I don't know the rules, but, like, you can up and leave. You can go and live in a tax-free place in the Middle East. You can go and set yourself up somewhere, right? And then you can sell. But like, if you're thinking that the government isn't going to figure out that you've made money and you're going to hide it, and you live in a country where there's high taxes, like you're playing with fire. Like you're playing with fire. It's not you're mistaken in thinking you're going to get away with it, in my opinion, because. I'm not an avid believer in the way the government runs, but if there's one thing I understand, like they want their money.
Yep.
And like right now, sure, like cool. They don't know they don't know it. They don't know where you did this, but it's the blockchain. It doesn't go anywhere. That's the whole point that Bitcoin has value. It's there, right? You make a transaction on Bitcoin or Ethereum or Solana, it's there forever. So if you think transferring it to USDT, putting it in this wallet and no one knows about it, oh, they know. And they're not gonna know now. And maybe they go on and never ever track you and they never find out. Sure, maybe, but I wouldn't take that sort of risk. I'd just pay the tax because I like to live peacefully. You know, that's my whole thing.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I transfer out of Bitcoin or out of my trades and all of that, and I put it into investment assets that make me financially free. And then that way I can put $20 into a meme coin on 500x and not give a shit.
Hey, we have one more quick one.
Do you think that a lot of people are asking this, that it's still worth investing in Bitcoin?
It depends on what you're trying to get out of it. Like up until it broke 100K, my goal was 100K, but I have almost no intention of selling my amount of Bitcoin. But that's personal to me, right? So like my amount of Bitcoin is personal to me. I don't plan to sell that. I think it's going to become a financial asset exactly like gold, exactly like my stocks. I'll be able to give it to a bank. I'll take a loan against it and I'll buy property. I'll live off it, whatever I want, right? And that's what I believe. So I would continue to dollar cost average into Bitcoin. But if you're buying Bitcoin at the price it is now, you like understand last time, 2017, I think it went down 82, 84%. 2021, it went down 77%. So the law of diminishing returns, maybe it's 70%, maybe it's more, maybe this time is different. But if you buy now, understand this is not an asset that's going to stay the same price.
If we go into an S curve, though, do you think maybe it might go higher and then we don't go as low? Like, what do you think with all
the no, 100%
institutional money in there now? Like, there's so many things. Like Michael Saylor was saying, I don't think it'll come back down.
Yeah, I think it's an easy answer. It's we may go significant. Let's say 350K this cycle, right? That's one of the ones being thrown away. But
you think,
and then it goes down 70%. Where does that land us? That's the thing. Do you know what I mean? If you buy it now and it goes up 350K and you keep buying all the way up, it's like there will still be a bear market, in my opinion. Yeah. And it may very well be that we're at the bottom right now. That could be the case, right? Yeah. And that would be happy days.
And then we fill that, what was it, at 1.09 or something?
Yeah, yeah.
Say, over the weekend we had
CME gap.
Yeah, CME gap. Yeah. People keep saying, well, we're probably not going to fill it anytime soon, but maybe.
Yeah, well, we tend to always do. There are a few that we haven't filled out, but yeah, I mean, there's totally within the realm that we go significantly higher here with all the institutions, with all the whales, with the amount of supply running out. But then there will be a time where we pull back. So like, just don't buy it if you're going to panic when it crashes, because it is going to crash. Yeah. But then we're going to have another cycle and you're going to beat yourself up and you're going to go through the whole thing that everyone goes through. So just do yourself a favor right now and buy with money you can afford to lose, whether that's a coffee, whether it's a meal, whether it's, you know, the new bike you want to buy. Just buy an asset you believe in and then understand.
I think a lot of people just don't have disposable income right now. That's the issue.
Well, then
they've already screwed us over.
Totally. But then my opinion is you should focus all of your time and attention on trying to get that money up.
Yeah.
Like, and it sounds, it's easier said than done. Like, I'm not one to say, you know, like, you know, the polarizing content, that's not my style at all. But the only option we have is to use the tools that we're given. So we can sit and complain about the tools not being good enough, or we can just try our best, right? So instead of messing around with a meme coin because you heard someone did 1,000x on it, use the money and the knowledge you have. You can create a personal brand. You can try, you know, an online business like e-commerce. Those are the two things that I know work because I've done those. But there's so many ways, especially in a place like Bali, where you're surrounded by these people who make magical internet beans. Mm-hmm. And everyone, I believe, can do it. And the only difference between the people who are successful and the people that aren't successful is these guys just did it, right? That's literally 100% in my belief that everyone can do it. And like you know, being a content creator, the hardest thing is pressing post, right? And everyone's stuck in their head. Should I do this? Should I use this lighting? Should I say this? No, just post the video. Because if you post that video and you stay consistent for like probably 6 months, there's a stat with podcasts where I think it's like 95 or 90% of all podcasts don't press post on their 11th video. It's something like that.
Interesting.
It's not, I don't know the exact number, but it's something around that. So if you post 11 podcasts, you're already a front of 90%.
Wow.
And that's exactly how I trade crypto, right? Because I want to be ahead, so I do the opposite. What's the stat? Find the stat, do the exact opposite of the stat, and then you have the best opportunity.
Pretty good. Well, we've kind of hit our time, but is there any last thing you want to plug that you're working on or doing? Or
yeah, I mean, I have the crypto channel, Conor Kenny, on YouTube. I also have a new channel, Conor Kenny Business, and that's where I'm not talking about crypto. And the exciting thing for me about that channel is I can give you my actual objective, like, opinion and point, and I can say stuff like, post the damn video. You know what I mean? I can't say just buy Bitcoin. I might want to say it, maybe, I don't know, but I can't say that because that you know, I'm stepping over the line. But yeah, Conor Kenny Business, where I'm just talking about how I've built multiple businesses behind a personal brand. And yeah, I think it's one of the best opportunities, starting a podcast, starting a YouTube channel, TikTok, Instagram. This is our opportunity. You know, 2025, it's going to get harder and harder because so many people are doing it. So I'm really passionate.
Now with AI, it could get...
Exactly. So I think this is a great time, and you know, I love providing value. I'm successful enough that I can have passion projects, and I'm really passionate about like building companies and building personal brands. So yeah, Conor Kenny Business if you want to hear about that, or just Conor Kenny if you wanna see the crypto stuff.
Right. All right. Well, with that, thanks for coming.
No worries.
And we'll catch you guys next time.
Ciao, ciao.